Hey, this is the next episode in our Rooted series where we're looking at some major characters in the Old Testament. And today I'm going to start a couple week series on talking about Saul. Now, Saul is might be a familiar name to some of you because you might think Saul, who is Paul in the New Testament, but that's not the person we're talking about. Saul is a name of someone in the Old Testament also, and he was the first king of Israel. And that's where I want to kick things off. You can read the story of Saul beginning in 1 Samuel chapter 8, where they ask for a king, and then Saul's story kind of follows from there. But as I said, in 1 Samuel chapter 8, the Israelites, the people of God, ask for a king. And the reason they want a king is they want to be like all of the other nations that are around them. And Samuel warns them that a king is going to do something. So he's going to take things from them. And he warns them that this is not going to be a good thing. And their response to Samuel is, no, we want a king. We want to be like every other nation. And God tells Samuel to tell them, okay, they're not, God tells Samuel, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me. And so Saul is made king. Now, Saul is a king who does not trust God or lead Israel to trust God. You can read in 1 Samuel how Saul repeatedly made decisions that were not glorifying to God. Saul did not, in one story, Saul does not wait for Samuel to come and make an offering to God before battle. And so Saul gets worried, and the soldiers get worried, and so Saul rashly does this on his own without listening to Samuel. And Samuel comes later on and condemns him for that and says, you did not listen. In another story, Saul makes a rash oath where they're in the midst of battle and fighting the Philistines, and Saul says, to all the troops, you're not allowed to eat anything today until the evening. And his son, Saul's son, Jonathan, doesn't hear this oath. And so Jonathan eats something and is refreshed and continues in battle and has great success. And at the end of the day, Saul realizes that Jonathan has broken this oath, and Saul's going to actually kill his son for breaking this oath. And the people of God, the Israelites, come to Jonathan's defense and convince Saul, okay, this is not the right thing to do. They rescue Jonathan from Saul trying to kill him. One of the unfortunate things about the story of Saul is why he became king in the first place. As I said, the people of God, they were not willing to let God be their king. They wanted a human king like every other nation. And because they did not trust God, this led to a long history of kings and rulers who would not lead Israel, the people of God, to trust God. And we need to be careful that we are not like the people of Israel in this way. Often we find ourselves in situations where it might be difficult to trust God, and we want to try and figure out for ourselves how to get out of this mess or how to deal with this situation. And we're unwilling to submit to God and to trust God, and we're unwilling to listen to godly counsel like Samuel gave to Israel. And in those moments, we need to fight the urge to go at it alone. To say to ourselves, we're going to figure this out, we're going to make it happen on our own. And we need to trust God in those situations. We need to say that God is in charge, that God is in control, and He will not lead us astray. And so if you're struggling today with trusting God and you're in a situation where it's difficult, I would encourage you to pray and to trust Him. And even in the midst of that difficulty, trust that He knows what He's doing. Now, we also believe that, at Union Hill, we believe that not only should we trust God, but and God will help us, but others can be of help too. And so if you're having a difficult time trusting God in something and you would like to pray with someone about it, or you want to talk to someone about it, please feel free to reach out to us, and we would love to visit with you about your relationship with God